Coming up on closing day out at Louisiana Downs, we have a pick six. That's a mandatory payout. It's a $20, 20-cent jackpot pick six. We have a pick four and a pick five to dive into. So let's look at the final six races for Tuesday, September the 12th out at Louisiana. Mandatory payout pools. Everything must go. Now we're diving into the daily racing form past performances. We're going to be looking at drf.com. You can actually get these past performances for free when you sign up for a DRF Bets account. What you have to do is go sign up for a DRF Bets account and use the promo code WINNING. It'll give you all the way up to a $250 deposit match bonus. So if you deposit $250, they will match that. All of a sudden, your $250 becomes $500. They'll also give you a $10 free bet, and then they'll give you 10 of these free daily racing form past performances for different cards that you want. And a common gripe for a lot of folks out there when we're playing the races is that if you are betting a lot, you shouldn't have to pay for the past performances. And now if you are wagering through DRF bets, every time you bet 50, you get another credit for past performances. Let's dive on in and take a look at Louisiana Downs for Tuesday closing day out at Louisiana. So the pick six sequence starts in race number 3, 20-cent jackpot pick six. It's a 5-furlong turf sprint. Horses that are on my radar for sure, both the 4 and the 5 are going to be tough. Fire in the Storm is very quick and it is in fantastic form, as you can see. Very good at the 5-furlong turf sprints, proven here at Louisiana. He is a bit one-dimensional. I don't think he really wants to sit off. So that's what makes him a little tough to trust as maybe a key horse or to put on top, because if he does get in a battle with other speeds, he has a tendency to maybe fade and run a good race but finish second or third. He's in the mix, no doubt, though, because if he catches a flyer early on, he could be really tough. The 5 Hail State, for the opposite reasons, I made my top selection, because he's going to be coming from off the pace. Look at his races, his most recent races going 5 on the turf. His entire form as 4 starts on the grass have been very good. And he's going to be one that will benefit from a fast early pace. He's actually won on the lead or just sitting right off, but more recently he's been a closer, a horse who's going to be passing horses. We've seen him in his last couple turf sprints, and I think that's where he will end up today. He'll be in a spot where he'll be passing some horses late. The horse is a real wild card to me, and I will throw in is the 1 Osceola, who's a big price on the morning line. Again, let's isolate his turf form. On July the 31st, he came from way out of it. He was only beaten a couple lengths going 5, and the race has already come back live. What does that mean? We've already seen a next out winner. Third place finisher Premium came back to win their next start, won pretty nicely, earned a 70 buyer speed figure, beating 12-5 non-winners of 3. And Osceola is a horse who got pretty good last year and has tailed off a little bit since then. I do think he can perk back up here. Look at the turf race back in June. Not a bad effort. Was 4th that day, was right in the mix early. And keep in mind, that was the first start in about 6 months. The winner of that race, At a Party, came right back to win and has won 3 in a row. Look at a Party, just earned a 92 buyer speed figure in crushing a group. The 4th place finisher in that race, Burning Hunk of Love, came back to win their next start. Look at them. They earned an 86 buyer speed figure in winning that one. 81 was the one coming out of the At a Party race. So they've won 2 of their last 3. Those are on the dirt, but just a quality individual. So I'm throwing in Osceola, coming out of some strong turf races and better than looks turf form, has a little versatility as well. He can show some speed. He can also pass some horses. So I'm 5-1-4 all over the place. I mean, a horse like the 2, Tues the big one, I wouldn't really try to talk you off this horse who's going out for a barn that's had a very, very nice meet. Another who showed some versatility. He was on the lead last time out, which I think was a little bit surprising in that spot going 5. But he certainly could fit with this group. And then the 8 would be the other one for me if you're going a little bit deeper. Half again. He's going to make the big cut back from 1.16 miles to 5. And he could put himself in a really nice spot where he's sitting just off. If maybe they just want to let loose and go on the cutback, though, and he could be pretty fit. 5-1-4 is my top tier in here. 2 and 8 if you're going a little deeper. Look at this race. I mean, look at the contentious field that we have here. You're going to have a bunch of horses that are in the 4-1 range. That's race 3. It kicks off the closing day pick 6 at Louisiana Downs. Let's move to the 4th race. 5 furlongs on the dirt, 5,000 non-winners of 2. So this one kicks off your late pick 5. You can play for just a 15% takeout. I'm going to go to the outside with the number 10 in here, Reverent. Now, he cuts back from 1.70 last time out to 5 furlongs. And I love the massive cutback for him with the blinkers coming off. He'll relax a little bit, and then he should have plenty of late punch and should come rolling in here. I think he'll be fitter now, cutting all the way back to 5 furlongs. He's taken a big drop down in class. He's been facing Louisiana bred, 25 non-winners of 2, and even open non-winners of 2 for 25,000 before that. So this is a good drop in class for Reverent. Nieves keeps the faith with the outside draw. Even if he's stuck a little wide, that doesn't bother me. I like to see him kind of wide out in the clear and making that move. The 2C Force is in fantastic form right now. Can't leave this one out. I think they may have found a right level, and you have Guerrero back on the inside speed. The 5 United Appeal, I think just a total wild card. This horse broke his maiden first time out of the box, and following that, he's been in really tough spots. In his second start of his career, it was on a sloppy racetrack, so you can eliminate that. Then he was off for a couple months. He shows back up. He tries the turf in a tough spot. Both of his turf races you can eliminate. The May 13th race at Evangeline, another one that's in a tough spot, like a Louisiana bred allowance. This is a way softer spot than any of the races he's been in recently. Alabama bred, United Appeal. I think he's a little intriguing, and I'm going to use him as a wild card along with the 10 and the 2. 10-2-5 for me in race number 4. Let's move to race number 5. This one's 1.16 miles on the turf. It's a maiden special weight for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Kicks off your late pick 4. You can play that for a 15% low takeout. I like the 5 in here. Warriors Return. Debuted going 5. Never got involved. But that second start, that's the one I want to focus on. This is a race where he finishes in front of Marmo Moon. We're going to be watching the 4 and the 7 in here. The 4 is for age. So watching the 4, that's Warriors Return, or the 4 is Marmo Moon. Oh, excuse me. 4 Warriors Return, 7 Marmo Moon. Those are the 2 we want to keep an eye on. So Warriors Return has a good start. I like that sat just off. Still a little wide there early, kind of going into the turn. But then we see Warriors Return move up nicely and is in the 4th spot, right? The second flight there. Just about 2 lengths off in the 2 path in between. Traveling pretty well. And then right inside is Marmo Moon, who's the number 7. So they're right next to each other as far as their tactics are concerned. And I thought they both ran really well in here. I think they're both major players. I'm going to use them in the pick 6 sequence, but I'm going to prefer Warriors Return because on paper, you'll just get a little bit better value on Warriors Return. Here they both come looming up into contention in that second flight. And Warriors Return is going to angle to the outside. And Marmo Moon kind of stays right and gets a nice hole in between, but it is actually Warriors Return who shifts out, closes a little bit better down the center of the track, and we see Warriors return with a good second. Now, this was a race where there was, you saw in the background, one of the horses jumped, and there was an incident there in that race. Warriors Return wasn't involved, or it was way out wide, had nothing to do, really didn't take advantage of that incident, or it wasn't like when a horse veers off and then one horse takes the advantage of that. I thought it was a good effort from Warriors Return. And I'm going to use the both of them. So it was the one Yawkey Butterfly in that race, who was the horse that bolted when we were watching. But following that race, Warriors Return tries the dirt, and you can just eliminate that race. Just didn't fire on the dirt. Now we come back to the turf, and if she runs anything like that July 29th race, I think she fits really well in here. So 5 and 1 are in the mix for me. We watch the race they come out of. The 10, Sassy Spry. That July 21st race was not bad. This is a filly who's actually come out of some pretty strong races. In her career debut, she's behind a few next out winners. My Aunt Snooky comes back to win her next start, beats First Level Allowance Company impressively. Luminous Flight comes back to win their next start coming out of that race. You've also got MDA Run Address comes back to win next time out. So strong debut race. Then gets on the turf, finishes 4th. This was a good effort. And the runner-up that day, Jumpin' Judy, came back to win. So I like the races that they're exiting. And the turf race was good. It was a solid 4th, and moved up into contention. That was the first start in 5 months. Now she'll make her 3rd start off the long layoff. I'm going to use the 10 all over. 6 as a player. My Little Whiskey Girl. The problem is with a horse like this who's 0 for 18, you can't trust him. But she actually fits in this group. 5-1, 10-6 in race number 5. Let's move to race number 6. We have maiden special weight 2-year-olds here. I like the 5, Mr. Shorty, who's the one to catch. Now, he has been your beaten favorite twice, but in those races, he's shown speed. He's now built up stamina and fitness, and now he's going to go from 5 to 5.5 to 6. So that progression makes a lot of sense. Thought it was interesting that Jose Guerrero shows up here and not on the Shane Wilson runner, More and More Music. Just something to point out. The 1, Funny Flame. This horse's damn funny proposition was actually a grade 2 winner that won the debut, won 4 of 9, including a grade 2. So has the right to be a nice one. The 9, Awesome Ruda, horse to beat off the debut. It was good. Really solid 3rd. Runner up that day, Ghostly Time, came back to win. Beat Mr. Shorty. 5-1, 9-2, who I mentioned. Nothing really crazy or outside the box. I'm pretty Captain Obvious in this race. I prefer the 5 if you need to shorten up. I do think he's the most proven and really only proven speed in here. Let's get to race number 7. 25,000 non-winners of 2 going a mile on the turf. I like the 3 quite a bit in here. This is probably a single spot for me with Mo Tap. You can look at this guy overall. He's pretty lightly raced, and just go through his resume. He wins his career debut, tries a little too tough in his 2nd start, good effort in his 3rd start. Like, everything really makes sense for him. He's off from January to June, shows back up in June, a couple races on the grass, and then all of a sudden the grass form's pretty good. He's in the mix. They're just trying to figure out, where does he fit? Those First Level Allowance races were a tad tough. Then he was off from September to July. He shows back up in July, and he runs exactly like you'd expect a horse to run off the bench. He had a good start. He sat just behind the leaders, and then he kind of got shuffled back a little bit. to fit, the 2 lengths off. He waited. He was traveling well. He was just a little bit unlucky there. Now the blinkers come off. He will be a lot fitter off of that effort. Mo Tap, probably single in 1 or 2 spots. I also want to throw in the big price of Winworthy. This is a total wild card for a barn who's only sent in live runners at the meet. Look at the races that he exits. A really tough first level allowance races where he's hooked some nice horses. He's not a win machine, but he has multiple races that are good enough to beat this field. Will he get the type of trip he needs? He's coming out of races from Fairgrounds, Keeneland, Kentucky Downs, Churchill, Aqueduct, Saratoga, and Belmont, where he's been competitive in a lot of them. 3 and 12 for me as we move to race number 8. Let's close out the meet on Tuesday at Louisiana, going 1.5 miles on the turf course here. More Ice is in fantastic form. It's really tough to talk about this race and not want to use him based on what he's been doing. He's just been so good. He's won 4 in a row, all 3 starts this year, loves Louisiana Downs, no knocks on him. The 7 wins Tea Time. He got really good last year, and I think this year's form, it's a little bit sneaky. What I like about him too is that he actually raced last year going 1.5 miles in this race. There's just not a lot of horses in here that have experience going this long. He is one of them. And I don't think the distance is going to be a problem for him. When's Tea Time in the mix for me? Others to include in the closeout race of the meet, the 3 and the 11 all have One Time Gem. It's another one who's been consistent and I think can show some versatility. Like, he has the type of running style I like in these turf route races that are 1.5 miles. I don't think you want a stone cold closer there. You want horses who can make moves early, who can be sitting in a good spot, maybe early move to the lead because they're going slow, or fall into a good spot if they're going a little too fast. One Time Gems in the mix for me. And then also the 11, we will use Haley Sailor. So the 2 back race was very solid. And now you start looking at some of these races earlier on in his career. He's only making his 4th start back after 5 months off. He's certainly capable of showing up with a race good enough to win it. Does he still have that in him? At a nice price, I'm throwing in Haley's Sailor. 4, 7, 11, and 3 to close out the Louisiana Downs Tuesday card, to close out the Louisiana Downs meet. It's been a blast covering Louisiana again this year. I had the privilege of linking up with the folks at Louisiana. I got to do the on-track simulcast. I actually wasn't on track, but I got to do that broadcast from my home last year. This year was part of the team providing videos each and every day. Shout out to Roxanne Tanner, who did such a great job on the simulcast. Track announcer John McGarry did a fantastic job over there. President Kevin Preston has done a great one over the last few years. They got the Super Derby back. Hope everyone has a great Tuesday. Remember to get involved in closing day at Louisiana Downs, and you can get those daily racing form past performances for free when you play with DRF Bets. Good luck.